Hi, it's Rick McPartland, and welcome back to the 21st Century Revenue Roadmap. We're to the point on the road that I really love. This is where you've done the really, really hard work. You've started to put away the 20th century stuff, and you've recognized that in this time in the world, we have to do things a little differently. And if you've done your last homework, which I'm sure you have, you've looked at your niches and you've compared them to where your soul is on the bell curve, and you've applied those five science requirements that we talked about the last time, and you've figured out, there's either some gaps and there's some things we need to do different. And you may have even figured out that some of the niches that you're in today don't align well with your brand promise and the problem you solve. And that maybe, oh yeah, that's that next one. It's time to start to say no to some of those things. If you're really in spaces that don't align, you need to start saying no as quickly as possible. No is one of those things that starts to get you an immediate financial return, because when you say no to things that are inconsistent with your brand promise and the problem you solve, all of a sudden the only things left on your table are the right stuff. And so if you're only talking to the right prospects, the right suspects, the right potential employees, the right potential partners, if everything you're doing is dealing with the right group of people who all value the same things you value and all get excited about what you're doing, your results are going to get better, and you're not any longer spending time on things that are inconsistent, unaligned, expensive, time consuming. All that chaos piece starts to go away for you, so that your life is going to start getting better. The analogy I use is you're at the stage now on the revenue roadmap. I live in Arizona, so I think of kind of the old West, and prospectors were those people who were doing what you have been doing. They were finding the gold and the silver. And when you defined your brand promise and you defined the problem you solved, you found the gold and silver. Now, after you find it, the next thing you have to do is mine it. You got to get it out of the ground and get it to the bank and get it in a form you can spend it. That's where we are today. You've done the really hard work. You've found the gold and silver. You've answered the questions about, here's the brand promise. Here's the problem I solve. I know the niches I can dominate with it. Now we're really going to start to pull that gold and silver out of the ground. And so today we're really going to focus on, we'll always be doing some diagnostics. You've got your revenue strategy pretty well in place because I know you've been doing your homework. Now we're really more into this deployment and continuously grow, align, and improve piece. So we're going to focus on the next thing to actually convert the fact we found the gold and silver, and we're actually going to convert it into something that we can take to the bank and get paid for. And that's really about, since you have your dream, you've really got your science applied, and you know this dream can come true, and you've started killing those 20th century myths, and now you've got the foundation pieces, that problem you solve and the brand promise in place. Now we need to take specific offers to the street, and we're going to take them to that ideal buyer. And remember that the ideal buyer is really not a company. The ideal buyer is really a human being, and they're the human being that have the problem that we solve. The problem is, solving that problem is compelling to that buyer. It's going to make their personal life or their business life or both much better if it's solved. And they're in the niche that you want to dominate. So now we've identified those people who are that ideal customer, because we've said no to everybody else. We're only now talking to those ideal buyers in those niches that have the problem, and they're compelled to solve that problem, and they value our brand promise. But we got to be good at how we message and how we make offers to those people. So today we're going to focus on how we message to those people, because even if you're talking to the right people, as we look at trying to analyze, it's part of that diagnostics that we've been talking about. If you're not talking to people who have the problem, that's it. That's your problem. If we're not in niches we dominate, we know one thing's for sure. If anybody does buy from us, they're going to treat us as a commodity, and that's not good. So let's assume we're talking to people who have the problem, they're compelled to solve the problem, and we're in a niche that we want to dominate. So we really want to invest time and energy and resource in this niche, because once we dominate it, our margins go up, we win more deals, sales cycles get shorter, all those good things happen. It's still possible we don't tell our story well. We don't get across that we really are the people who solve that problem that will make this ideal buyer's life and business much better. So we need to be capable and competent at delivering the message. And part of that 20th century baggage that we frequently carry around is, in the 20th century we believed that if we tell everybody facts and we show people process and we can talk about our product and all the features of our product, that of course they'll just get so excited about our product, and then they're going to buy from us. Well, in the 21st century we know there's a thing called neuroscience. And there's neuroselling and there's neuromarketing, and the whole piece of it is around the fact we learned that all those facts, all those details, all that product information, for the most part, doesn't drive behavior. Behavior comes from what's called the old brain. There's new brain and old brain. New brain listens to all those facts. New brain may even find those facts interesting. But when it comes to making the decision, the old brain, the part of the brain that deals with fear and joy and emotion and passion, that's the part of the brain that decides. And frequently it doesn't care a thing about all those facts. It's more worried about risk and reward and safety and comfort and cool and exciting, and the passion of the brain is much more important than speeds and feeds and bits and bytes and all that kind of technical stuff. So in the 21st century, we know we have to reach the decision-making old brain in different ways. Instead of facts and figures and long 100, 200 slide presentations, we need to be very visual. We need to create contrast so the old brain doesn't have to deal with all those, minute pieces. It can see clearly, well, it's either this, it's either Apple, or it's Gateway. It needs first and last. It needs emotion. I once took a sales training course many years ago, and they spent 2 days teaching us on how to regurgitate facts about our product, and they spent 15 minutes on helping people make the emotional decision to buy. And I thought at the time, what a waste of 2 days or 1 day, 7 hours and 45 minutes telling me about the product features, when the only thing that matters is if I get this person to make the emotional decision to commit to me and to my company, the deal's done. I don't have to do all the rest of that stuff. Yet it took another 20 years for the market to throw away the old myths and really go with the 21st century, the fact that it's neuroscience and that emotion is much more important than fact. Keep it simple. Emotion doesn't want a lot of complexity. Make it concrete, gray, fuzzy, kinda, sorta. The brain doesn't care about that. Make it personal. When it's all said and done, nobody wants to deal with people they don't like or they don't trust. We don't get up in the morning and say, I'd like to do business with a company I hate and I am sure is going to really take advantage of me, and I know I can't trust them, but that's who I want to give my money to. We just don't do that. So get clear that from this point on, your messaging to the old brain, your facts and figures are what we call proofs or solidification points, and the buyer cares about those, but they only care about them after they've made the emotional decision to buy from you. Those become proofs so that the buyer can explain in words, because the new brain is the part of the brain that uses words. They can explain to other people why they made the emotional decision they made. So yes, facts and figures matter, but only after the buyer's decided they're going with you. So let's take a look at